What's going on, everybody? I wanted to make a quick video in regards to jurisdiction, something that you guys need to understand in regards to jurisdiction. And the incentive came from one of my videos. There was a comment in the video, and the guy was telling people, "Oh, you should just go with a lawyer. Why would you go with a YouTube lawyer? There's plenty of case law. Why doesn't he cite any case law?" You guys have to understand something, okay? When you're going into court, court is its own business. Court is not going to unravel itself. The reason why, if court unravels itself, then you'll have murderers, pedophiles, and all of these other people released into the wild, and not being able to keep some type of system of restraint. Okay, so I respect that. That's why I don't leave or I don't give all of the rules to court or all of the processes out to the general public. Okay, so what people have to understand is I have studied law more than most lawyers. I've been in court more than most lawyers. I've done more than most of your lawyers. So I'm not saying that from a braggadocious sense. I'm saying it from this journey took me so long to figure out, because when you're sitting in court and you're being deceived, and then they're deceiving you, like they're deceiving me as a trial witness, or they're deceiving me when I go into court, and then I come and find out that everything I believe was wrong. It changes your perspective. So at any time, you should be humble enough to know that your reality can change or shift with new information or some information that is provided to you. So with that being said, sorry about the ramble, but I'm not really, because it needed to be said. So we're going to get into some of these things like jurisdiction. Okay, jurisdiction is one of the easiest things to prove that most courts do not have jurisdiction when the actors violate your due process rights, etc. Okay, I'm not going back to my right to travel video because I did a consultation. They was like, "Why do you keep going back to that video?" I was like, "Man, every time somebody says something, and it brings me back to that video because I'm giving you the answer to all court proceedings. Because a lot of court proceedings are violations of due processes in regards to debt collectors, traffic stops, and I'm not talking about violent offenses. Okay, if the court abridge your rights and you're a violent offender, I mean, you abridge somebody else's rights. You see what I'm saying? So that's the karmic thing of law. But there are people in jail who've done nothing and who are in jail just because the police wanted to close a case. Now, I have a problem with that. So look, in everybody's constitution or anybody's state constitution, they always tell you what is the ability for a court to rule or to make to assert their authority. So under Wisconsin, a state legislature, or under the Wisconsin Constitution. Remember, it does not say the state of Wisconsin, it says Wisconsin Constitution. Okay, this is different. This is what the corporations, meaning the circuit courts, which are corporations operating under the state of Wisconsin or Wisconsin state, have to follow. Okay, I'm not telling anyone anything that's illegal. I wouldn't tell you anything that's illegal. Okay, so that's one thing people have to understand. I'm not going to send you into a battle I wouldn't fight myself. So look, in the circus court, they'll tell you the boundaries, okay? The legislature shall prescribe by law the number of judicial circuits, making them as compact and convenient as practicable, and bounding them by county lines. No alteration of circuit boundaries shall have the effect of removing a circuit judge from office during the judge's terms in case and of an increase of circuits. The first judge, first judge or judges shall be elected. Okay, so this is back in 1977. Now I'm going to get here what's even more important, which is circuit court jurisdiction. This is section 8. I used to use this on many motions. I used to use this on affidavits because I've read my state constitution. I knew it like the back of my hand. So I know what sections to bring up, what to do in regards to certain things as jurisdiction. So I'm not trying to disrespect the court or lawyers who practice or attorneys who practice law. I'm not trying to disrespect anyone. I'm trying to educate the public because in certain instances, the public is losing their property and losing their rights due to actors who really, at the end of the day, when they send you to jail, they don't give a damn. They out eating, living their life, and they done sent the person up the river and didn't even give them a fair shot at due process. Now, in my opinion, I at least try to give you a fair shot. You see what I'm saying? But you're gonna have to do it by yourself. Why? Because everything you did was by yourself. To get the action brought on you was by yourself. So look, except as otherwise provided by law, the circuit court shall have, listen to what they're saying, original jurisdiction, okay, in all matters civil and criminal within the state, and such appellate jurisdiction in the circuit as legislature may prescribe by law. So in Wisconsin, I'm pretty sure this is with any state, if you catch a court case, mainly because Wisconsin has a big DUI issue, whatever, you're going to go into a lower court, which is a civil court. Okay. They're going to most likely abridge your rights if you don't know them. So the appellate court for the lower municipal courts is circuit court because the lower municipal courts don't really have records. The circuit court does. Okay. Now, most people are like, what case law do you have that says that? What? It's experience. I don't need an attorney to give me an opinion. You can read. So what are we going to do? Abandon our own logic and common sense just because it's not in writing? Come on, man. So look, original jurisdiction is not the same as subject matter jurisdiction. And I've gotten into arguments with attorneys over and over about this because they're incompetent. They can't read. So you might talk about how my fluidity, I might mess up on some words, but my understanding is on point. That ain't gonna never change. I can increase my fluidity by reading more in public. So look, we're going to go over here and I can go into case law after case law. You have to understand that the court has to operate in with some sort of mystique or some sort of hidden aspects behind it because if someone found out how to break the court apart, they can be either dangerous or they could be very helpful to the people. And either or, it starves the court. So they don't want to hear none of that. So look, original jurisdiction versus subject matter jurisdiction. Look, original jurisdiction refers to the court's power to hear a case for the first time. Okay? So when someone sues you and then they bring you into court, the court has the ability to have the case docketed. That's it. Let's go back through it. While subject matter jurisdiction refers to the court authority to hear a specific type of case based on the subject matter. Wait a minute. So, didn't the Constitution say this? I'm sorry, I didn't bring y'all over here. My bad. I didn't even bring y'all over here. My bad. Okay, look. So it says original jurisdiction refers to a court's power to hear the case for the first time. All right. While subject matter jurisdiction refers to the court's authority to hear a specific type of case based on the subject matter. So, look, for all you attorneys who troll in my comment section, who troll me, or you bot accounts, I really don't care anymore. I'm just gonna like all your stuff and thumbs it up because it doesn't really matter because you're trying to create deception. I'm trying to educate people. So look. It says they only have original. Where does it say that they have subject matter jurisdiction? It doesn't. Okay. So look, it goes through, it tells you if you read your constitution, that the circuit courts are constitutional courts. All right. The circuit courts are constitutional courts with plenary jurisdiction. They do not depend solely upon statute for their powers. However, in certain cases with vast social ramifications not addressed by statute, prudence requires the courts to refuse to exercise their jurisdiction. Listen to what they just said. However, In certain cases with vast social ramifications not addressed by statute, prudence requires the courts to refuse to exercise their jurisdiction. As such, circuit courts are prohibited from exercising jurisdiction regarding sterilization of incompetents. Okay? So all of these are court cases that have been decided in regards to the court's jurisdiction. In no way. So look, because courts have exclusive criminal jurisdiction, criminal charges against the defendant were not collaterally estopped, even though a parole revocation hearing. So listen to this case, okay? If you understand the meat of this case, if you're on parole, this means that you gave the court jurisdiction, okay? So then they have a right to have a hearing and fight for their level of jurisdiction because you gave them jurisdiction. Okay, so we'll go back. Let's go back to memory lane. So, original jurisdiction is about the court's role in the initial stages of a case, where subject matter jurisdiction defines the type of cases a court can handle. Well, how does a court get subject matter jurisdiction? Subject matter jurisdiction Subject matter jurisdiction refers to a court's authority to hear a specific type of case or legal dispute based on the subject matter. So if you go into court and you argue anything of the subject matter besides, I'm not even going to leave the rest out of it. I'm going to leave the rest out of it. If you argue anything of the subject matter, the court is going to assume that you are granting the court jurisdiction to adjudicate the matter. Look, example, a family court has subject matter jurisdiction over family related issues like divorce. I beg to differ. While a federal court has subject matter jurisdiction over cases arising under federal law. I beg to differ on that also. Because if you look at the Constitution, it gives them original jurisdiction, not subject matter. Okay. So subject matter is a bunch of subjects. Like, so if you're in traffic court, it's a presumption that the traffic court has the authority to hear a traffic case because the court is presuming that everything was done upright in following the procedures. They're assuming that the police officer is competent and educated in his job duties and roles and how he is supposed to conduct himself during a routine traffic stop. That is a presumption of law. That is not a reality of law. So this is why lawyers, they try to bend reality with presumptions. And I'm trying to flatten out the presumptions and try to bring back the reality. The reality in a traffic stop is the traffic court doesn't have jurisdiction if they violated your due process rights. The reality is the traffic court doesn't have jurisdiction if the officer violated your due process rights. You see what I'm saying? This is very simple concepts. I'm not trying to bend laws. I'm not trying to tell people to do all this and file all these documents and you will be sovereign. I'm not trying to do that. I'm just telling you, if you go into a court case and the court violates your due process rights, you have to put them on notice that they're doing it. You have to stop them from doing it. No one else can do it. An attorney can't do it for you. Because if you go look at most cases, attorneys are not going to bring up jurisdiction in most of them, but they do it in a roundabout way. Okay. So I wanted you guys to understand that there is a difference between original jurisdiction and subject matter jurisdiction. So original jurisdiction allows the court an initial hearing. Okay, they have the ability to have a hearing in regards to the subject matter. But if the subject matter is objected to, or if the plaintiff has used deceptive means or tactics to get a person into court, that is, they don't have jurisdiction. I don't care what your attorney tells you. Your attorney can tell you whatever he wants to or she wants to. That's because they're there to deceive you. You can learn this stuff on your own. Case law is an opinion, dog. It doesn't matter if the case comes from the appellate court of appeals, it comes from the Supreme Court. It is an opinion from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court does not rule over man and woman. The Court of Appeals doesn't rule over man and woman. They preside over cases. Okay? That's the difference. That is common sense. That's not straw man theory stuff. They preside over cases. So if your case falls under a certain realm or a certain type, then they're going to say, "Oh yeah, well we have jurisdiction to hear those type of cases." That's all they're saying. You have to understand the English language because a person can use the English language to deceive the hell out of you, and you won't even see it coming. And with that being said, learn to read, be a student, be a forever student, so you can become a forever master. And with that, I'm out.